String bending is one of the most essential guitar techniques for any guitar player to master. In this short video, I'm going to show you how you can make sure that you're doing it the right way. So stay tuned. Hey there, this is James for James Shipway Guitar, and welcome to my video on string bending. Now, why have I done a whole video just on bending strings? Because in my opinion, it's possibly the most important guitar technique for a lead guitarist to get down in pretty much every style. Now, if you're bending badly, your playing isn't going to sound that great. Out of tune bends, sloppy bends just don't sound very good. So it's really important to nail your bending so that your playing sounds sharp, clear and great. So let's dive in straight away and have a look at the correct bending hand position to get you off on the right track. Let's zoom in and have a close-up of my left hand when I bend a string. And I just want to point out a few of the key things. My thumb is over the top of the neck. Now you will see some people do it differently to this, but I find most people who don't bend with their thumb over the top of the neck don't have very good bending. So I would probably recommend that you did get used to bending strings with your thumb over the top of the neck. Now you'll notice my thumb is kind of in line with my fingers. It's not down there and it's not up here. It's kind of central in my bending hand, giving it a really strong, stable bending position. Now for this demonstration, I'm bending the G string at the 7th fret and I'm using my 3rd finger to do that. You'll notice though that these fingers, my 2nd finger and my 1st finger, are backing up and helping push the string. Now I've seen a lot of people in lessons and things when they come along and their bending isn't very good, bringing these fingers away and just kind of bending with one finger. Don't do that. Back up with any available fingers. Now if you're bending with your 2nd finger, back up with your 1st finger. If you're bending with your 3rd finger, then you're probably going to back up with your 1st and 2nd, like I was just doing. If you're bending with your 1st, there is nothing to back up with, and it's just kind of hard work, okay? So 1st finger bending is quite tricky, but to start with, you know, you're going to mostly bend probably with your 3rd finger. Important things to think about there. Thumb over the top giving you stability, backing up your bending finger with other available fingers. Now let's look at the actual movement or the actual mechanics of doing the string bend. We're going to use that same bend there, the 7th fret on the G string. First of all, you notice my thumb is over the top and we've talked about that, but it's down and it's still. We don't want our hand to rotate around the neck. Quite often I've seen people bend like this and their hand kind of turns around the neck. Your thumb needs to anchor your hand. It needs to be down and it needs to be still. Now it's going to move a tiny bit, but you don't want the overall hand position to sort of rotate around the neck, okay? Your thumb is there to keep your bending fingers in a good strong position. The other thing about our thumb is it helps keep the guitar still. Now if your thumb isn't there and you bend, it's quite easy for the guitar to move. And if you think about it, then any extra push that you're putting into that string isn't going into the string, it's going into lifting the guitar up, okay? So your thumb helps keep the guitar down as well, okay? So it's really important. So thumb down and still. And when we do the bend, we don't want to lock our hand here and flex with our fingers like this. That's how I used to do it when I started out, and it didn't sound too good. It feels really weird now, but at the time it felt most comfortable. What we want to do is pin the string with our finger and turn our wrist. I'm kind of turning my whole hand like that, okay, rather than just pushing up with my fingers. If I hold up, you can maybe see what I mean. So this is wrong. We don't want to just push up with our fingers like this. We want to lock the hand and our whole hand sort of rotates to do the bend. Why is that important? Well, you have a lot more strength in your forearm your wrist and your hand than you do in just your finger. So it gives you much more stable, strong bends. If it's a big bend, you're bending at maybe 3 or 4 frets, you're more likely to hit the note and be able to hold it there. And you actually get a fatter, richer tone too. So that's quite an essential thing, this rotating our hand around the guitar neck to do the bend rather than just pushing up with our fingers on their own. Now our bending fingers also need to be rigid enough to sort of cope with the resistance that the string is going to give. Now as we push the string, it starts to resist, and there comes a point at which one is going to give way. Either the string is going to move, or if the string is stronger than our fingers are going to collapse. That kind of thing. So keep your fingers sort of bent here, pinning the string to the neck and in a strong, rigid position so that they don't give way, the string gives way, and you get a good sounding bend. Tuning is obviously essential in a bend too. So when I'm doing this bend here, 7th fret on the G string, I'm pushing it up or bending it so that it sounds like the note at the 9th fret. Now a really quick way to just test your tuning is to play the note that you're bending and then go up the neck and play the note you're bending up to. In this case I'm bending 7 up 2 frets so it sounds like 9. So I'm going to play the 7th fret, then I'm going to play the 9th fret on the G. Do that a few times so you're kind of getting the sound of the note that you're aiming for with the bend in your ear so you can start to tell if you're hitting or not. So I'm playing 7, now I'm playing 9, now I'm going to grab 7 and push it up to the note that I heard when I played the 9th fret. Really slow. So I'll start to sort of learn to measure how far I have to push the string to get the note in tune. So this is a measuring, we're learning how far to push it, and then forget about that and just push it up and start to see how close you're getting. Now it's going to take a little while to fine tune your bends if you're new to this, but really just the most important thing is to pay attention to it, and you'll start to sort of get a sixth sense of how in tune your bends are and how far to push it. Just something that develops with practice. But pay attention to your tuning, because obviously out of tune bends aren't going to do your playing any favours. Okay, 3 quick exercises for you just to try with your bending. And we're going to use this bend here on the 7th fret. Now, I realise this is kind of a little bit boring doing this. I mean, you'd be learning licks in rock or blues or country, whatever sort of style you play. And just apply all this bending technique to those licks in a musical context. But I'm just going to just demonstrate a couple of little things using one bend, because it's just a bit simpler for me to make the points that I want to make. So let's grab that 7th fret on the G string. And what we're going to do is bend it up 2 frets. Then I'm going to use my right hand just to kill it off, okay? So we choke the string off by tapping it gently with our right hand. Let it down and bend it up again. So this is teaching you to cut off the bend when you don't want it. So you're not left like holding this bend long after you want it to be gone. You know, you're actually in charge of it. By deadening off with this hand, we get rid of it. Then we can let it down and carry on with whatever we're going to play. The second thing to try is actually hearing the release of the bend, where we bend up and then we let the bend down. So we hear it being bent up and let down. Whereas in the first one, we were just hearing it being bent up. So here's the exercise. Bend it up, let it down. Now the important thing here is to keep the string pinned into the neck. Often I've seen people bend up and they kind of lose the, the pressure on the string here, and when they let it down they lose the note and they get this sort of thing. Now keep it pinned into the neck. Now the third thing to practice is what's called a pre-bend. And this is where we actually don't hear the note being bent up. We just hear it being let down. So for example here, I'd bend it 7 up to 9 sort of silently. Then I pick it at the top of the bend and then I let it down. And the same thing applies. We have to pin the bend as we let it down so that we don't lose the note. If you take the pressure off that string and stop fretting the note properly, the note's going to die out and you're going to lose it. So keep it pinned into the neck at all times as you're bending up and as you're releasing the bend. So there's three things there. You've got choking off the bend, you've got the bend where you hear it bent up and then you hear the release, and then you've got it where it's already bent up and you just hear the release, and that one is called the pre-bend. So that's all for today really. Follow these tips and you'll soon be noticing a real improvement in your bending, your control of your bends and the sound of your bends, and an overall improvement in the sound of your playing as a whole. Bending is that important, and I believe in a lot of ways that a guitar player only sounds as good as their bends sound, alright? I think it's that important. So I really hope this helps you get right on track and get your bending sorted. Okay, if you found this video useful, please give it a like and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you've got any comments or any questions that you want me to see about this stuff or anything you'd like a lesson on, leave it underneath because I do check all my comments and I do reply to them as well. So all that remains now is for me to say thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again in another one of my videos very soon. So take care and bye for now.